All right.
We are back.
Hello, hello.
Week two, or episode two,
Yeah,
episode one, episode two,
episode two.
episode two. We're in it, man. And yeah, guys, this is our second episode. This is good. I'm Mel.
I'm Mar or Marissa, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, I mean I prefer Mar. I was thinking about that as I was thinking about our jumping on today and if we were gonna do an intro, and I was like, well, if one of us introduces the other one of us, we call each other Mel and Mar, so like
Yeah, we can go with it.
so
I like
So
it.
we're just roll with it. But
Stupid
um
bear bear.
yeah, I mean we talked about that in the first episode. So if you haven't gone back and listened, if this is you just finding our podcast for the first time, go back and listen to our origins episode. It kind of just told a little bit about myself and our and Mar and our relationship and how we kind of became friends and why we decided to start this podcast. So jump on, and we're glad you're here today, and we're going to talk about values today. So, which this is a topic that I feel like Marissa and I talk about frequently, um, whether that's developing values, whether that's holding each other accountable to values, um, just checking in and just developing them together. Because I truly believe that, and I know Mar would agree, but I think this idea of core values and what it means to you does have to be kind of a communal thing. It can't just be within yourself. Like you have to have feedback to develop these things. So, um, Mar, like what got you into like deciding to go down this road? Like what brought you to like the place where you realized that you needed to figure out what your core values were?
Um, I think the first time I ever really thought about it was I did Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within conference and got exposed to a lot of his content. Like I think I was 20 years old. I was really young.
It's so crazy that you were that young.
Yeah, a big testament to being in the Cutco and like vector marketing culture. That's who does like our hiring, training, sales stuff. So there's actually kind of like two companies with like so Cutco is the umbrella and the product, and then vector marketing is who runs the like sales organization side of it, if that makes sense. So they do the hiring, recruiting, and all the like channels that are involved in that, and they're very much a personal growth company, and they've always been that way. Um, and so I got really lucky that because I started selling in college, like through the internship program, I got exposed to a lot of conversations around abundance mindsets and just a lot of growth and mindset work that we do run into in with like CrossFit and even in like college sports and things. But just like business world, personal growth type jargon. And a lot of people were doing a lot of the Tony Robbins conferences. And I got like told over and over to go to Unleash the Power Within. And so then I eventually just signed up when it came to Dallas because that's only 3 hours from my house. And my friend and I were like, screw it, let's just go. And I had like friends' places where I could stay instead of having to pay for the hotel. And the tickets were $600, which was a lot for a 20-year-old at the time. Probably a current $1,200 ticket.
Uh-huh. I bet you it's doubled for sure.
Yeah, at least. And so I scrounged around and just made it happen. And why a lot of people do go is because they get to walk on these 1,200-degree coals and they like teach you how to get into a mindset for your body to be able to go unharmed and unscathed. And it's like 15 feet. It's not like oh, you just kind of step on it and you're done. Like you like are walking a long distance over it. And it cracks me up because they like did this whole build up for the whole thing. And for me, I was like, yeah, I can do that. Like it didn't even seem like a big deal to do it, but I was excited about all the other content and they cover everything from nutrition and health, mindset stuff. Um, and one thing they really talk about is that like your life is controlled by your values, not your goals.
Mm.
And so you've got to like really dig in and see what values drive you. And um, there's kind of like this moving towards values, which is pleasure. It's the things you want more of, or the moving away from, or in the pain and avoidance values. Um, and there's like value hierarchy, and
Mm.
um, it's how we order our values. And then there's also like these six human needs and everything. basically is underlying our values and how we are driven as people by these six human needs. So it's like um, the six human needs are certainty and
Mm,
then variety, which is funny because there's like two opposing ones. Like certainty is kind of that safety, and
right.
and then um, like security, and then there's variety, which keeps us like excited, and so we need uncertainty and adventure too. And then there's significance of like feeling important. And that's where like you have like a lot of like criminals are driven by significance. And that's why they'll do something like kill a bunch of people and
Mm,
then kill themselves. Like they just want their name remembered. And so it can be used for good or bad. It's just like we're going to meet those needs. And if we're lacking one of those needs or the ones that matter most to us, people are going to do some crazy stuff for it, good or bad. And then the fourth main core one for personality types is love and connection. Makes sense.
mhm.
Human. And then the spiritual needs are growth and their contribution. So everything kind of just goes down to that like foundation. And so he really digs deep into this stuff. And then you kind of do a lot of like um rumbling and work around it. And then like a date with destiny is where you really discover who your core is. And after we got off our last podcast, I was showing you that video of my little
Yeah.
poster that I made that has like my go towards values and my away from values and like goals and stuff. And it's just like hanging in my office. But it's, I mean,
Mhm.
it's like a decade old, maybe not
That's so
quite, but
crazy.
maybe more. And
I was just say, if you were 20 and I don't,
yeah. And so it's just something I've kind of gone back and they talk about the primary question, which is like how you talk to yourself is the main question you ask. Like a lot of people are asking stuff like, why me? And so if you can change your primary question to being a lot more like aligning and grounding to your values, that can be really helpful. Um, and then like we were talking about this, and then you brought up that book, The
Mhm.
Compass Within, or what's it called?
Yeah. Yeah, it's called The Compass Within, Robert Glazer, and that's the book that I have just recently, within the last 6 months. So or three, it's March, April, it's April. I started it in January, I read it in January, and I read it in uh like a day and a half. It was a very quick, very to the point read, but also very enjoyable. And it goes through this whole process of just determining your values. There's questions you ask, and I have always been a very values driven person. I don't think I've ever had them stated the way I do now, my personal values. Um, I've always been able to, even when I didn't know I was doing it, I was doing it. Does that make sense? I've always did my best to live in my values. And once I learned the language of of like how to talk about your values, what it means to be authentic, what it means to have integrity, once one of those words were given to me, I think I started to develop my own definitions within myself on what it meant to me. And that's where the compass within kind of comes in, is like your values are more than these like one word utterances, right? They're bigger and richer and more honestly life defining than one word. Because if you say if you say to somebody, which the popular one right now is authenticity, so if you say something to somebody and be like, yeah, one of my core values is authenticity, I'm like, listen, what being authentic means to me and what authentic means to you is probably very different. And so the whole idea of this book is that you're going to go through this process and you're going to determine what your values are. You're basically going to define them in an operational manner that's going to allow you to really just have the daily ins and outs of what it means to live them. And it's going to come from a place that's going to fill your cup, kind of like Mara was talking about, like this. I mean, it's like different. It's like a different language, like what Mara was talking about, and what the language I have. It's all kind of the same thing. We're just talking about it in a different way. The things that give life to you and the things that take away life from you. It kind of goes through that process and this misalignment and what that feels like and how to avoid it and how to stay within it. And there are this like I think you use the word rumbling. And I like that. I
Or
think
Brene Brown.
that's a Brene Brown word.
Totally Brene Brown. I love her
Yeah,
stuff.
I've always liked that. Like
Yeah.
you just have to rumble about these things and you have to think about them a lot. And I think and when I think back about like how I got to this place, like I said, I think I've always been somebody that had strong values. I was raised in a really not a super conservative home, but like a home that like you know, right was right and you showed up on time and that meant that you were early and you you gave back to the community and you that included time and money and all the things and you we just lived this life of just taking care of others. Like that was just what we did. And that was instilled in me very early. And I think I just flourished in that. Um, and so that's kind of how I got here is that I kind of already had that within me. And I think I just have honestly, I think it's one of my God-given gifts that I just have this like desire to know. Like I'm actually reading a book right now about the Enneagram and I'm learning more about that and it's actually from a more of like a Christian-based perspective. It's very, very interesting. And they talk about how like to know oneself is one of the biggest things you can do to honor God because God loves us no matter what. Like he is the one that knows our hearts the most and he loves us anyway. And so to go on that journey to learn more about yourself is actually going to be the thing that pleases him the most because it's going to allow you to live in a way that he sees you and like what other thing is there. So it's very, very interesting. I'm really enjoying it.
You nailed what true humility is with that statement. I think
What's your
I think true humility is like very misunderstood, and I think it's having the confidence in the things that God gives you and your own talents and gifts, and having confidence in the right places. I think we've confused humility as a culture, and even sometimes with Christians speak of inferiority complexes. I think we push off. We want to do it in the name of like modesty or humility, and that is absolutely actually dishonoring God, I think.
Oh, I agree with that completely.
And I think also pride and over being puffed up and ego and it from ourselves is like also an issue. And so I think the tension is this like beautiful like harmony or balance or pull of being in the middle of it, of understanding who we are and our gifts and our purpose. And I think going back to those values really help you define and understand that.
Mhm.
And I think when we're really unhappy or we're really getting like dissatisfied in our careers or in our partnerships, relationships, things like that, it can come from a discord and a misalignment in those values. And so I think this is such a critical conversation
Yeah.
to have and like consider for everybody. It can be useful no matter what you're doing or what you're pursuing.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about like I think values is that they're applicable in like all aspects. In the Compass Within book, he talks about that there are like three main pillars in your life. You have your work, you have your family or your relationships, and then you have where you live. Like those three things are the places where you're going to feel misalignment or alignment the most.
I couldn't
Um,
believe that the pillar was where you live. Like that one's
I
one
know, wasn't
I've
that
never
interesting?
even considered. Like I totally get the partnerships and your like work and where you're spending most of your time and who you're spending the most time with. Like those totally make sense. And I think I was just raised on such an idea. You can be happy anywhere or you kind of make your own situation or environment. But I think that environment is also something that influences so much what you do and where you live is
Yeah.
a huge part of that. And whether that's your direct home or the city you're in or who you live with and those type of things, like all of that
Well, and I
does
think what
matter.
you surround yourself with, I
Yeah,
think that's a really, um, I think that's one that people miss.
yeah.
Like I
I
think
do.
about,
So we can talk about
I think about that, like, like I am not my mom in that, like, I don't keep an immaculate home.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. Like my mom's house is immaculate. And my daughter will come home and she'll be like, Mom, there's crumbs on the floor. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sis. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like it, and it's not that I don't want to, it's just that I do want to. And I have like these crazy times where I'm like frantically doing it. But at the same time, we live here. And there are honestly, when I, now that I, like I said, have the language, I can say things like, well, right now our time is spent elsewhere. And
Right.
that's just where our values are right now. And it's not that we don't care about the cleanliness of our home. It's not like we live in a pigsty,
Right.
but the fact that there's crumbs on my counter doesn't bother me
Right. It's like
because
there's
I can.
things that matter more. Like
Yeah, I
clutter
mean,
in
yes.
like bothers me in my kitchen, and I love a tidy, clean, and less clutter. But right now, I'm not home much, and I'm valuing building my business and like out there meeting people and taking every moment of energy and time that I have like for training and building the things I want the most. And
Mhm.
there's systems and there's ways to create that cleanliness or tidiness in other ways. And I'm working it, and I like even schedule time for it because it does matter for me. And I'm doing
Mhm.
spring cleaning and I'm getting rid of boxes and taking them to Goodwill and all these things. But I have to keep them in their compartments because otherwise they bleed into other things. And then I don't have enough energy, time, and capacity and bandwidth
Yeah,
to do the other things that do matter more to me. Like I adore cooking, but right now it's not as big of a priority as just eating healthy and like training. So I get a meal prep person to help me keep me consistent. Like, and there's
yeah,
going to be different phases of life. I'm excited for that time where I get to be the cook, but right now, like it's really hard to just cook for one person. And it's very like it's not I don't have the same day every week because I do work my a very entrepreneurial lifestyle and I'm traveling so much and that travel time takes some of that. There'll be a time where I'm not traveling as much and I can use that 15 hours of flight time in an airport to do that. But
yeah.
right now it's just like there's just you have to weigh like what matters the most and then figure out a way to go get it. So,
Yeah, and
I'm
I think that's where people just don't talk about this. Like, we talk about values like, as the, like I said, the words on the wall kind of thing. Like, I'm a person that values authenticity, integrity, all those things. But when it comes down to the end of it, or at the end of the day, like, what does that really even mean? Um, and on that journey, I've been on it for a while. And I think the more I refine it, the more I step into who I am supposed to be. And then I have gotten really good at just, I think this comes from my background. So I have a master's degree in special education, and through that I went through like a minor basically, and I have a minor in like behavioral analysis. And so when I was going through that whole process, I learned a lot about like how behaviors are structured and what that looks like, triggers, antecedents. If you know. Anyway, those are the things that like come before behaviors and how to influence behaviors and how to interrupt them and things like that. And so I have all this cool knowledge and I had no idea that I was going to use it in this way when I was like going and getting this education. But paired with all the brain science I now know from when I was working in mental health, like I'm able to take that, and it's hard to apply it to self, but again, I have wonderful people in my life that can help me take the things I know and like actionably put them into practice. I'm able to create these systems of things in my life, and there are times of transition, but I'm able to take those and truly like dilute them down to the things that I do every single day. Like it's the little things. And I can't like stress that enough with people. Like it is literally the smallest things that you would never think to do, that you would never think about doing unless you put some intention behind it, that will move the needle. It's wild stuff.
an
Like,
example of one of those, yeah.
yeah, so like something that I've really struggled with recently. Sorry, my new puppy wants to come inside. She's banging on the door. Um one thing I really struggle with, and I've struggled with this for a long time, and so I'm currently working this system right now, is I really struggle with nighttime eating. That's something I've always struggled with. I've been through lots of different stages of my life. I have the tendency to be an emotional eater. Um, I've really kind of reined that one in. Like I've been able to kind of get a handle on that as I've exercised my physical capacity as I've added muscle mass. I've obviously been able to eat more things like that. But at the same time, being able to understand that it is not something that I want to do and it's not the type of person that I want to be. And so I'm currently working through a process where I'm creating an evening routine where I close my kitchen. And so like after I go through my evening process, I get my kids fed, I feed myself, we sit down, we have dinner at the table every night. A lot of times it's like rush, 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 rush. We're going to bath and then it's bed for my kids. And what I'm working on currently is a line of behaviors, like a sequence of behaviors where I start with like loading the dishwasher. It's going to include sweeping the floors. It's going to include, wiping the counters down and literally shutting my kitchen down and shutting my mental process down of the like eating is done. And so it's those like really little things that I think that people don't realize that you can do. And granted, you start with like one thing, like, you know, um, as an example of this is like nobody, I hope that this is the case, but like nobody really thinks about when you get in the car, what's the first thing you do? You put your seatbelt on generally.
Yeah.
Or,
And turn it on.
yeah, yeah, or you turn it on, put your seatbelt on. Like, hopefully that's the first thing you do. The other thing is like, you know, uh, I can almost guarantee I can tell you like where your toothbrush is. Like if I was a toothbrush robber coming into your house, like I can almost guarantee, and you could pay me, I would bet you $1 million that your toothbrush is either in the drawer underneath your sink to the right or the left of your sink, depending on which hand is your dominant hand. Or it's, like I said, in a drawer or it's on a shelf, like in a cabinet, right? It's like that's where your toothbrush is going to be. And so setting up your environment in a way that honestly is going to take it all the way back to values and creating those behaviors and habits and systems is going to just change things for people. And I just don't think people think about that. Like I said, before I went on this journey, I think I had strong values. I just didn't actionalize them. And so that's where in my journey in the last, I would really say since I started CrossFit, um, almost 10 years ago, which is insane, um, is really kind of what has obviously put me on the track to get to the point that I am today. And believe me, I'm not anywhere close to where I think about like Nirvana, like that whole and that like that's the kind of like when I think about the end goal, it's like we're never gonna get there, but it's there. Like that like full mindfulness, complete um just alignment, I guess, of like
Can't
body,
hold
mind, and
that
soul.
thought. I think
Yeah.
there's levels of energy and like
Yeah.
we can reach that at times. It's just like we can't stay there all
No.
the time. Um, but that's also a whole rabbit hole we could get into that I've actually gone over with some of my coaching that I've had in the past. And there's just like levels of where we're at energetically in any given day. And it's just really good to build awareness around that.
Yeah.
Um, And I do believe we can reach like nirvana. It's like a moment. It's or like
Our
a time.
flow, a
It's
flow
like a
state.
flow state. And it's not something that we just are like in all the time, and that's okay. Like we're not meant to stay there. Um,
No.
but I think this is good. We need to kind of wrap up for time's sake. But what I
Oh
really want, I
no.
know we're trying to keep this short. So I would love for us to like pick up on what our values are since we both spent time rumbling it. So maybe we can end this one and then that can be our hook to come listen again if you guys want to find out what our personal values are and how we came to those.
Yes,
Then we can have
absolutely.
other conversations about it. But for now, we can wrap this up unless you have like a one liner or anything else you want to tie
No.
for that pretty bow. But I think you
No,
did.
I don't have that yet. I
So
don't have it. So if you have some idea, if you're watching this and you have some ideas of um how is my rice timer went off, how we can wrap these up, and you want some, we would love some help. So, if you think these are great and you want to give us some help, we're good.
it's pronounced good because there's two M's.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, we're missing Megs, so
I know we don't
we
have
can't be
good.
good.
We can. We can
Good.
have her on one time.
Yes, oh, I was thinking about that. I would love to. I would love to. Then we could be triple in.
Yeah, we'll just add a
So
little M on there for that one.
yes. All right, guys. Well, what did we decide our little tagline was? good humans, good talk, good humans.
Yes,
Yeah.
good talks. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Peace out.
Talk to you later.
Hey.